Welcome to ViviTalks. I'm Vivienne Aerts. Join me in celebrating 100 talented female musicians from my last album, Type of Thing. Empowering female cacao farmers in Congo's Virunga State Park and restoring the rainforest. Delve into the musical journeys, creative processes, and unique perspectives of these talented women that were involved in the making of this album. Today I'm talking with Mar Fayos. Listen to a conversation as we talk about Cirque du Soleil and her new album. Originally from Barcelona, Spain, Mar Fayos is a jazz vocalist whose music carries influences from Latin, pop, Mediterranean. She has performed with accomplished artists such as Brazilian composer Toninho Horta, four-time Grammy-winning bassist Oscar Stagnaro, Mexican composer Armando Manzanero. Mar Fayos is currently working as a faculty member at Berklee College of Music, Bunker Hill Community College. She is an active performer in and around Europe and in the U.S. Well, it's so great to have you here, and welcome to my official ViviTalks podcast. It's a pleasure to know you, and I'm very excited to get to know you even more and present to you to whoever is listening to this podcast. I love to learn a little about your background. Where are you from? What do you do?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for inviting me. I think that is a great idea to give more visibility and voice to those female artists from around the world. And I hope that is successful because I think that it's a very important mission to do. So I thank you for doing that and for having me. And about me, my story is that I am from Barcelona, Spain. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to be a musician since I was 3 years old. I listened for the first time to jazz through Tony Bennett, and that's when I fell in love, and I was just like, I want to do music and I want to sing that. Like that is the music that is sort of getting into my soul. And then from there I started basically to have my life tied together with music in a very, very deep way. And I started doing some particular lessons, then being in a choir. Then I just went to the conservatoire. And after that, I was doing musical theater for a while. Then I was also teaching musical theater and voice and doing some choir conducting. Mm-hmm. Until I decided that I couldn't postpone it more. So it happened to a lot of us, right? That we were a little pressed by, this is a very insecure job. This is something that is very hard. And then I did journalism and I liked it, but it was not what was inside of my heart, my deepest passion, that was music. So I applied for Berklee and I did my undergrad. And then I did my grad at the Global Jazz, and I also did effortless mastery. So that's how we connected a while ago, and to me it was great. And then being invited to be also a participant in your album, just putting together all these female voices from around the world, it was also a pleasure, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I'm so happy you took part in it. The whole album, as you know, has been a very long process, and I'm just so excited how it came about. Thanks for sharing that. And so right now, you just finished a tour with Cirque du Soleil, right? Tell me a bit about that.
I mean, that was a dream of mine. During my whole life, I have been really into interdisciplinary arts. Mm-hmm. And trying to mix like different areas and different ways of expression and see what comes out of this. And then that's why Cirque is something that really gets my attention when it's done in a way that can really bring together those artists and have a storytelling behind, and of course like live music there. So there was a dream of mine just being part of a project like that, but also being able to tour and experience what it is to actually be like on the road for a long time, and see also how I responded to that, if I felt comfortable, if my voice was gonna be like comfortable doing so. So I took that adventure And yeah, I was there for a year doing the show, but a little bit longer just to prepare for that. And I sang in Alegría in the Asia tour, and yeah, it was wonderful. Like, just all the people that I got to know, the mixture of cultures, like it was just a mixture of working a lot in something that I loved, and then feeling like you are abroad and traveling. So it was a really cool mixed mixed experience,
And
to say.
what were all the countries that you went, or cities,
So-
or how did it work? Every week a different city, or?
No, this tour was particularly long. Normally, there's other shows that go when they go to Asia. Normally, like they do pretty long runs in the cities, but normally it's a little bit shorter. They stay for maybe a month and a half or two, and then they change cities. But in this case, it was I think about 3 months in South Korea, and I was there like the last month and a half. And then they did 6 months, almost 6 months, like 5.5 in Tokyo, and then almost 4 months in Osaka, in Japan. So it's South Korea and Japan.
Cool. And what does a day like that look like?
Well, it depended on the day. They used to have shows, and I am aware that now they still have them from time to time, that were like 3 show days. So that looks a little bit more like you arrive there, you do your warm-up, you go to do your sound check, and then you have more or less an hour and a half before the show where you have to go, put all the makeup on, the wig, in our case, the costume, and then just prepare for it. And then we had a little bit more time just because we had either one show or most of the days 2 shows, and then 1 day of a week. But the days that they had 3 back in the time, there's like 1 hour in between shows. So you have like just the time to, if you want to remove the wig for a second, just to like not have the pressure there all the time. And you basically get your robe and you go to the kitchen, you eat something, and then you warm up again just to do the second one. And in our case, if we had 2 shows, then it was a little longer. It was about like 2 hours of break in between. But again, you had to go to eat, and then of course that can affect also your performance as a vocalist. So you need to know very well like when to eat and what to eat, and then how to prepare in order to be like working in the very early morning, because Japan had very early shows. Like we were having shows at 11:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And also like late at night sometimes. And yeah, that was a little bit tricky for me at the beginning, but of course you just need to schedule your life around that. So it's more like, yeah, I used to wake up very early, do a little bit of warm up in the hotel, then just go there, have time to have breakfast, then prepare a little more, do the sound check. So yeah, I just needed to be very mindful of the fact that I needed to be able to perform all the time, and that of course if you are very sick, you can also say like, I'm super sick and I need a cover. That we had 1 cover in Japan because it was a really long tour. Or they can put your tracks if something really bad happens and nobody can cover you. But of course, like, this is a group thing, so you always try to do your job every day and to be able to perform good. And that means that of course you have like good days as a person and bad days, the same as you have like good vocal days and bad vocal days.
Right.
So to me that was very challenging at the beginning, because I am super perfectionist and I got frustrated, and sometimes like there was just a note that I was a little scared to do, or that was a little tricky sometimes for me. And this is something that we've talked a lot about, like, what do you do in that moment when you have to go through that experience, and then it's like it goes over and over and over, and your voice is how it is, and also every day it suffers some like small changes, that are not bad. It's just like the way that it is, and you have to work with that. So to me, accepting that was very hard. Like the process of being like, it's okay, it doesn't have to sound as if it was recorded, because it is live. And the same that everybody can make a mistake, somebody can fall because they do like very difficult stuff. You can also have those days when it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be human, and it's still gonna be okay. And it took me a long time to realize that, also because when you are new in this sort of scenarios, you are next to people that has been doing that for so long, and then they sound so perfect because they have just done it for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of times, the same. So that to me was a little intimidating, and I felt a little afraid sometimes about it, until I had a moment when I was like, first, it's okay if something happens because you are just doing so many shows that it's normal. Second, most of the time, it's not gonna be really noticeable because the audience doesn't really know that well the show or the music, or they are not really putting attention into what you are doing because they are looking at amazing things happening with the acrobats in front of you. Like, you are not the center. But the last thing was more like, yeah, like they were not coming to see my concert, and I was just part of a team. And even if for me I was on stage and I had like that big dress, and that was something, of course, that I was aware of, I had to do also this work of being like, no, you are part of this story, but everybody is. And that removed a lot of this like extra tension. And I think that that is also good and applicable when you are just performing on your own, because even if it's your own concert, it's always a group thing. And people never come to see you fail. That's another thing. Like, they don't want to come to see a show and just be like, oh. Like, they just want to be there in the moment with you and enjoy. And most of the times, yeah, like they are not even noticing when something happens, or if they notice, that it's not gonna be the highlight of the night.
Yeah, that's so well said. People are not coming to see you fail. They want to celebrate with you, and just releasing that pressure from you. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you, because that's something that I started to think a lot when I was taking those lessons in effortless mastery. That then you are in the environment, and sometimes you forget because you are human and you just want to do your best. And then it takes a while, and I am super honest about it. It took me a while to just be like, no, like that is not the point of this job. Like, it is a teamwork. Like, we are all together all the time. When I am singing for the trapeze act, I am just following them. You know, like, they don't follow me. We accompany them, and we are doing this thing together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this is like something that we still need to hear, even if we work on it a lot.
Yeah. Well, you need to experience it in real life too, right? Yeah, you can talk about feeling free, but then you actually have to do it and experience it. Yeah. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your creative process and your approach to writing music, because you released your album. How do you write it?
Mi propia religión. Yeah.
Tell me a little about that and your creative process.
So that album was very interesting to create, because I had a few songs that I liked, but I was not like falling in love with them. And only a couple of them that I wrote in maybe like the prior 2-3 years were finally in the album. But the other ones came in a period when I really wanted to release music, and I had a lot to say, but it was a little bit unorganized because it was during COVID, and of course nobody really knew what was happening, where we were going to, and And yeah, of course, being like just in my studio at home all day, it created a little bit of pressure on me of like, yeah, I just want to release music, but also I want this music to represent who I am and the moment that we are living. But yeah, I just don't want to be doing it in a rush just because I have this eager need to communicate and to do something while I'm here. And it came that time when I was already like thinking about it and talking with the producer of the album, Oriol Padrós, and the arranger, Gabriel Peso, but I was still like not sure about like what I really wanted to pick as probably I would say like the main theme of the album. Like I just wanted it to be really connected and explaining a story, not just being like random songs. And then there was one day when I woke up and I felt it. It is very difficult to explain, but I just woke up and I was like, I understood. Like I really know what I need to say, because that is like exactly what I want to say right now at this moment of my life. And then once I got that realization and I just felt like it doesn't matter what you are gonna be writing, because now you know what you want to say. So even if you do like 30 songs and some of them are not good, you are gonna be working towards a direction that is very clear to you. And then from there, I sat in the piano for 3 days in a row, non-stop. It was just like all the time. I was not leaving to eat. I was almost not sleeping. I was just like there with that idea. And then from there, I got like almost the whole album. Like I think that 5 or 6 of the songs were just written on those 3 days.
Wow.
And the creative process was that like most of the times I just had like a feeling and I found a way to actually translate that into chords, like the feeling or the emotion. Some other times it was more like a melody or like a line in the lyrics that I needed to like accompany. So it comes from different ways to actually create the songs. But to me, to be very, very honest with you, normally they just come to my mind. Like I start to hear the melody and the lyrics together normally, and then I just see like what I want to say with that. So then music is sort of like a way to reinforce what I'm saying with the lyrics, and also the feeling that is behind it, to create like an atmosphere, to say so. And that's how I envision that. And in that time, I just felt that it was like a before and after in my life, but not because of COVID necessarily, more because I was like living abroad and just like not stopping. And that time of stop came also in a time when I had a lot of changes in like the work area. I had a massive breakup, and that all together just made me thought about like, okay, I was somebody and now I am not that person anymore, but now I only know how to like recognize myself and live as that person that I am not anymore, and I don't know who I am now. Like I don't really know myself now. I am not connected with that person that is so different from that other one, and I need to find a way to actually like meet and make peace with that person and be like, it's okay, everything that happened, you learned from it, and then you fell and you like were able to just like build something new and continue with your life, and that makes us humans, right? So I wanted it to be very honest and very vulnerable. And that was painful for me because it was really, really raw, talking about many experiences, such as, for example, being very lonely abroad and just feeling like super disconnected and far from home and not knowing exactly who you are and what you want to really like do. They talked also about basically learning how to connect with yourself and also how to love that person and feel that that is not a final product. It's just like who you are now, which means that it can change tomorrow depending on what's happening in your life, and that's okay. But whatever is happening to you right now is not gonna define your life and it's not gonna be it. And you need to be able to be the best friend of that person and give that person a hug, right? Because it's easy for us to be like good friends, but we are not good friends with ourselves. We are tough with ourselves. We are not like embracing it. And I remember something that stuck with me very hard in a conversation with a friend that was like, you know, when you talk with me, you are giving me pieces of advice and you are talking to me in a very kind way and you are just like encouraging me. And all of this is the opposite of what you do with yourself. And why, you know, because that is just like, nobody would be that mean to you as a friend. You are like the meanest, you are your worst enemy. And then from here, yeah, I just got this idea of like, I need to change that perspective, because life and music is not about that. It is not about like trying to find a mistake. It's not about being perfect, because it's like, what is being perfect? What is being perfect for me? What is being perfect for you? Like, everything is so relative and subjective that I feel that we need to start putting less importance into those concepts and more about being a little bit more compassionate with ourselves and be like, you know, it's fine. Now I'm sad. Tomorrow I'm gonna be better. Now I need a hug. But maybe tomorrow I am just like killing it at a presentation or at a concert. And maybe after that concert, then I feel down again. But like, it's just gonna be fluid and it's gonna be human, you know, like,
Right.
we are not superwomans or supermens or super persons. Like, we have our weaknesses and our moments, and that is what I really wanted to highlight, the fact of like, I receive comments sometimes, and it still happens today, with people being like, oh, you have done this and this and this, or you reached this and this and these goals, and this is amazing, and I am like super happy for you, or like, I admire you for so and so. And it can be happening at the same time when you are having a really big crisis with yourself or with your surroundings, and then you feel that that is like not representing you at all, and you don't even understand how these people can be like that to you, or be like, oh, it's true, I did all of that, then I forgot because today I just feel weird, you know. So I think that, I don't know, it has to be a mix of things. Like, it's okay to be receiving the compliments for things that you've done that were very hard and you worked very hard to get it, and yeah, you deserve it. And in the other hand, accept that things can be happening, and that is completely okay. And that could be like, it could happen the same day or the same hour, that you are in one position and then in another. And it has been very beautiful the way that it translated into the audience, because there was a very recent case that makes me cry every time. So if I cry, I'm sorry, but I am very transparent when I talk, and also with my feelings. Like, I don't have a very good filter. But there was a friend of my mom that basically has been listening to my music for some reason. Like, he just found it. He didn't know that it was even connected to my mom in any way. And he just found the music, he connected with that, and that was sort of part of his life for a very long time, and we didn't know about it. And then one day he was like, yeah, I really listened to this person. And then my mom was like, it's my daughter. And they made that connection. So that guy went through one of the most horrible experiences that you can ever imagine, that like I can't imagine that is losing a son at a very young age, all in a sudden. And when they were, of course, because my mom is a close friend, and she went to the funeral, and they were hugging for a very long time with my mom. And then he said, you know, the songs that your daughter wrote are translating so well some of the feelings that I'm going through. And it is helping me so much to just be able to carry on with all that I'm experiencing, that I just want you to tell her that she has been one of the greatest supports that I truly had during these days that were the worst in my life. And that, to me, that is pretty much like, you don't have more to say. Like, you create because you have this need to actually be expressive through art, and it's a language, right? And then you only expect that you are not sharing it as a selfish act of like making a living out of it, or just like put yourself in the center of something, but it is just something that can be part of somebody's life and make a difference, the way that it has been. Like, other influences for me have been like a big part of my life. And when that happened, I think that is what we need to like keep with us in all the moments. And I'm saying I am a person that is thankful. I'm happy. It fills my heart to work with young students and just see how I can help them express themselves. But definitely, when you don't know that there's even one person that connects with your music like that, it just sort of gave sense to all the work and the effort that I've been doing since I was 3. And that to me was like the most fulfilling experience out of the drama that he was going through. And then we connected in a concert that I did recently in Spain. And, you know, I sang the song that he was talking about, knowing that he was in the audience, and that was just like a priceless moment. Like, I cannot really explain you how deep and emotional that was.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it makes me cry all the time, because it's like somebody going through something that it is so hard.
Yeah.
And then how the power of music can just accompany somebody with something that you wrote and that you sang. It is just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
It gives like reason to everything that you've done. So
to go on for what you
yeah.
do. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I have a couple more questions. I'd love to hear about, obviously, I have to ask you a question about feminism and all that. Have you experienced any stereotypes or biases, or how do you challenge these and overcome them?
Yeah, so I think that I am not just gonna put, if you allow me, women in that equation. I think that when you are part of a minority in general, which I feel that women is and has been historically, I think that you are always gonna experience some sort of feeling of being rejected, having to prove yourself more than others just to be in the same condition. Also, a lot of unfairness and pain. And well, it takes a while to understand why, because of course that comes from a very, very rooted, I don't know how to say it, like culturally and historically rooted problem. But yeah, I suffered that just because a lot of times vocalists are supposed to look in a certain way, and then they are not treated as musicians because you only sing and because you have an accent and because like all the things that you can imagine, just because you are young and you don't know what life and music is about, because you are from another country. Like, of course you know because you've been through that, but I mean, it is very hard, and that's something that is still happening today. We cannot say like we overcame that because it's not true.
Right.
However, I think that the fact that now we are starting to not only bring more awareness and talk more about it and like release some studies and research about it, but also there has been a little bit of like discriminative like processes of basically positively discriminating those collectives. I think that this is something that is not good as a permanent solution, but it is worth it as a temporary one, because at least it's making people aware that this is a problem. And with just opening more the spectrum and just being sure that like, yeah, you hire more females coming from different cultures that play different instruments, just to say in like higher education. I think that is the only way that at the end it's gonna end up being equal and based on meritocracy and not based on stereotypes. So that is a little bit my thing. Like, I don't believe that this has to be the end of it, but it is a good starting point. I would say that at least we are talking about it and it's not just something that happens and we just feel that we need to survive it alone.
Yeah, that's awesome. What advice would you give to young people who are just starting out their journey?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, we experience that with students, and what I tell them always is like, you are doing this because you love it, and you have to remember that in the good moments and in the bad ones. Also, that if somebody says no to you, it doesn't mean that you are not worth it or you're not good enough. It's just like one opinion in one moment in time. It doesn't define you or your career. And the third thing is like, don't rely on your talent. Because I think that people that maybe at the first sight was not that talented only needed like more experience or more guidance or putting more time into it. And then there's people that is extremely talented from the beginning and they just get lazy. And that is not working. So I just feel that the best that you can do is just trying to know yourself, know your goals, fight for them, knowing that it's not gonna be easy, but that everything that you can do to just learn, use all the opportunities that you have, use all the tools that you have, to just like keep working towards that is what at the end of the day makes the difference. Because we've saw it, I'm sure like a lot of people that were really talented but didn't want to put the work that it needs to be put in order to actually like make a living out of music or like get to the point they wanted.
Right.
And there's also people that maybe they were not that like noticed at the beginning, but then they just worked and worked and worked like in silence, as I like to say, like just alone in their rooms or the practice rooms. And then one day you are like, whoa, you made this huge progress, like you have this amazing sound, or you find this unique way to say things that make me want to listen. And that is just because they were passionate and they were also committed to it, because it is a big commitment that makes you not be able to go to a certain social events, not be able to be available for your family and friends the way you would like to, and live a little bit outside society, having a little trouble sometimes like working out your finances. And that is something that goes with it. Like you have the joy and the privilege of expressing who you are and yourself through art, but it's also very hard in a practical way. So I think that just having this commitment and this aim to not rely on what you've done or what you have, but just like try to keep making it better, keep exploring, is the advice that I would give to them. And it is 100% based on my experience and experiences of people like close to me.
Awesome. Thank you. My last question, what's coming up? You wrote that you're finishing a degree in music business and you're currently working as a teacher at Berklee, just like me.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So right now, I think that after the tour and just like coming back to Berklee, needed a little bit, like it needed a special level of commitment to what I am doing now, right? So it's a little bit more, oh, I cried and now I am like, oh, I'm like a mess. Sorry about that. So yeah, basically I thought that this change of life deserved a little bit more calm and more commitment to basically make sure that I was gonna be a good mentor, a good professor, and that I felt good with just leaving the stage for a while and commit to another part of my work and my passion and my artistry. And it's not like separating the both of them or just forgetting about my career, but I felt that I really needed to like take a step back on that and yeah, find some time to actually disconnect from what has been like this big tour and finding again my own voice. And I am very happy so far about the teaching, but it doesn't mean that I don't have my project. Like I would like to release a new album next year. I started to write new music. I am doing some concerts, and yeah, I think that I am active as a performer, but it's okay to say that sometimes you just need time to know again who you are and what you have to contribute. That sometimes you are better being silent for a while, and that is what I am also doing.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I will see you soon, actually.
Yay!
In Boston. And yeah, I will put all the links in the description so we can refer to your website and all that stuff. And yeah, thank you so much for being part of my project and of the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, I think that your music has a lot of intention and rudeness, and it's also very free. And that's something that I feel that we need to learn more about. Like letting go and let it just happen in the moment.
Right. Well, we'll see more of you, I'm sure. And yeah, let's keep in touch.
Thank you.
Great.
As I conclude this episode of ViviTalks, I want to express my sincere gratitude for joining me in this musical journey. I hope you enjoyed exploring the stories and experiences of the incredible female musicians on my album. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to ViviTalks on your favorite podcast platform. Connect with me on social media through Vivienne, and please check out my album Type of Thing, a musical exchange featuring 100 female musicians to empower female cacao farmers of Virunga State Park in Congo. It's about more than just music. It's about making a positive impact in the world. Your support is part of that journey, so thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, keep celebrating the power of music, and let's continue to amplify the voices of remarkable women in the industry. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep the music flowing. With love and gratitude. Till soon.